Hello, we are V for Victory, and we were tasked with finding out what life is like for freshmen and sophomores on CMU's South Campus. We wanted to find out what their perceptions, possibly frustrations are with transportation on campus, and how they felt about the Campus Wheels idea. Based on our interviews, I am now going to try to describe what life is like on the south end of campus in 50 seconds or less. Wake up, breakfast, walk to class, take a quiz, take a nap, call of duty, lunch with friends, time for class, walk again, running late, try a bike, slip and fall, never mind, back on foot, run into friend, there's no rush, talk to them, finally made it, UP class, waste of time, sit in back, time to leave, next class upstairs, should I skip, who really cares, zip up coat, dodge a bike, who wears helmets, cold outside, make it back, Xbox Live, now I'm hungry, RFOC time, let's work out, go to SAC, covered in sweat, walk back, study break, go to bed, alarm clock suck, start again, it's still snowing, that's no fun, at least my class is not in Grun. Well, that was a day in the life of your average South Campus resident. Give us a few moments to further elaborate on what we interpreted South Campus life to be like. South Campus is made up of the towers as well as the South Quad residence halls. Students here consistently commented on the family-like culture and how it can be good or bad. While everyone feels like they know each other and can depend on one another, drama does occur. Nevertheless, students love South Campus because of this. In their spare time, residents love playing video games, working out at the SAC, and enjoying themselves. After we felt we had a good understanding of the culture of South Campus, we asked our interviewees to tell us their feelings about their dorm's location. South Campus was praised for its proximity to the SAC and their classes, mainly ANSPA, Pierce, and more. It was noted, and I quote, "Most of my classes are close, so it's not that bad, but a trip to Gran will get ya." Most interviewees didn't have to travel farther than the library, although a couple had to make trips to the HP building or to Powers Hall, for example. Interestingly, one of the business students we talked to doesn't have any classes in Gran this semester and is primarily taking UP courses. After getting the context and feel of our candidates, we showed them the Campus Wheels podcast and asked some questions. Immediately, we started to notice redundancy in their responses. We have since turned this into a game that we call Good versus Bad. Let the games begin. Many good qualities were mentioned after seeing the podcast. One such quality was that CMU would get a better reputation because we'd be going green. The Green Initiative is one that is sweeping the nation, and universities and companies alike are aligning themselves to become more sustainable with a minimal impact on Earth. And the good side scores early. The students thought that by providing bikes, CMU would be giving those who couldn't afford one or who weren't able to bring one to college a convenient way to get to their classes. Moreover, the availability of bikes would further encourage student participation in different activities and RSOs campus-wide. It was said that, quote, "The bikes would be perfect for freshmen. They would use them the most. Because when you have a bike, you can do whatever you want. Furthermore, students will have another means of exercise at their disposal, further promoting a healthy lifestyle." So far, so good. As mentioned in the podcast, Campus Wheels will also provide CMU students a faster alternative for getting to class over walking or driving. This speed to students becomes extra handy at night as they feel safer biking than walking after dusk. Another 2 points for good for a score of 6-0. Almost all of the interviewees, however, thought that if Campus Wheels was heavily utilized, it would create further congestion on the already busy sidewalks. And bad finally gets on the scoreboard. At this point, the game starts to get a little bit more competitive. Our interviewees liked the idea of having a key lock for security, but what if the key gets lost? Locking up the bikes while they are in use is a good idea, but people break locks all the time. It would be a good thing if there were multiple locations to pick up bikes, but students we talk to would consider it annoying to have to pick up and drop off the bike at the same place. The good side is still ahead, so let's see if they can hold on to the lead. The phrases car-dominated and car-obsessed came up independently in different interviews. The students believe that most people want to drive to class, and this leads to increased danger for bikers. One pointed out that bikers actually do get hit by cars. Throughout our interviews, the word inconsiderate came up frequently. The feeling is that, since this is a college campus, bikes are probably going to get damaged because people aren't going to care. This, of course, referring to mistreatment during use, as well as good old-fashioned vandalism. And that buzzer means it is halftime. Let's review the score so far. As the idea was presented in the podcast, good is still out front, but the bad is starting to gain momentum. If a few key concerns aren't addressed, we can see the bad running away with the game. And this is the point in the interview process where the tables turned and we started to get interviewed. We asked, what concerns do you have with this idea? Well, as it turns out, they had a lot. Liability was a major one. It came up in nearly all of the interviews. We were asked, what if there's an accident? What if someone hits someone with their bike? What if the bike breaks whilst being ridden? Would the person riding the bike be charged? Our response was always, well, should they be? Safety was a common theme. Will helmets be provided? Many people thought that if helmets were an option, no one would wear them. They thought that it would be better legally, however, if helmets were provided, but if helmets were required, it would be a deal breaker. Also, what about lice? Will people be sanitizing these helmets? Our response, yet again, should they? Yes, it seems they should. And while they're at it, someone should be sanitizing these bikes. No one wanted to use a bike after someone just finished sweating all over it. Theft came up in every interview we conducted. Will students be liable if their bike gets stolen while they have checked it out? None of the students we talked to thought they should, but couldn't come up with a way to reasonably deal with theft either. Another issue brought up frequently was drunk biking. A lot of the people we talked to thought that students would use these bikes to get to Main Street and back. Drunk biking is illegal. While this is a concern all of its own, it brings us back to issues of liability and safety. The last big concern was time limit. One interviewee said, "What if I want to rent a bike for a week? It would be irritating if I had to rent it out every single day." Will there be different time options? And again, all we could say is, should there be? The reply, yes, there should. So this is where we stand. As the idea was presented, the good outweighs the bad. Students were generally favorable, but we also noticed that no one was head over heels in love with it. Almost immediately, concerns started to arise, and we didn't have any answers to the potential problems. Our last question was always, if you were president of this company, what would you do to make it successful? The most common suggestions were, make sure that there were multiple locations to pick up and drop off bikes, while allowing bikes to be dropped off anywhere. Find a way to make sure the bikes are protected without putting students at risk of the inconsiderate actions of others. Provide proper sanitation and maintenance of the bikes. allow bikes to be rented out for longer than 24 hours, and finally, to provide incentives to use the bikes. The last point deserves a little bit of elaboration. Since you have to swipe your card to rent the bike, it was suggested to create a system that either gave students X amount of cents towards their flex, or give them points for every use that could be used at local businesses. This suggestion would provide students incentive for continued use of the Campus Wheels bikes, and also provide a means to measure and track the return on investment of those companies that are investing in the idea. The Campus Wheels idea is good. The students told us so. But there are definitely some key issues that need to be addressed in order to make it successful.